Worldmax is probably the most well-known company that makes officially licensed Plants vs. Zombies plushes. Over the years they have made plenty of sets, but today we're going to be looking at their first attempt at making Plants vs. Zombies plushes for their first set. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Worldmax Set 1 plush set. Let's start with the first plush in this set, which is the pea shooter. Now this probably is the most accurate pea shooter plush that was ever made by any company. The face of the pea shooter is really accurate and is a limer green color than the base of the pea shooter, which is also accurate. This pea shooter plush also has a pea in its mouth, which is a really nice addition. I'm glad Worldmax made it. It could also come out of his mouth and go back in because it has a string attached to the back of the mouth. The base of this pea shooter plush is actually really accurate compared to the Lynxen one, because the Lynxen one only used 3 while this one has 4, which is much more accurate to the game. There is also a big size version of this plush, which is the exact same as the normal size except just everything's bigger on the plush. There's also a keychain of this plush, and the only thing they really changed about the keychain is the size and that it doesn't have a pea in its mouth anymore. There is also a rare variant of this pea shooter plush that has a suction cup on its head, which is actually extremely rare for any Worldmax plush, so this is probably the rarest variant out of all of these. If you want any of the variants of the pea shooter, I recommend looking on eBay, Macari, or Zanu, and the big size is probably the most common, and the keychain is probably the second most common, the normal size is probably the third most common, the suction cup variant is the rarest of all of these. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the sunflower. Now the face on this sunflower plush is actually pretty accurate. Once again, just like the pea shooter, I don't think any other company did a better job of making the face on the sunflower the most accurate than Worldmax. And once again, just like the pea shooter, they made an accurate leaf base unlike Lynxen sunflower, which is a lot better. Overall, I think Worldmax did a great job making this sunflower. Once again, it comes in a keychain and big size variant. The big size is probably the most common, the keychain is probably the second most common, and the rarest variant is the normal size. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the walnut. Now there's actually something really interesting about this walnut plush. It only comes in one size, which is a keychain size. It's really weird that Worldmax only chose to make a keychain size for the walnut plush. But even though this plush is really small, the face is still really good on this plush. Worldmax did a good job doing the embroidery on the face, and overall it still looks pretty good even though it's a little small. But yeah, this plush is extremely rare though, and barely anyone has. I recommend looking on eBay or Zanu for this plush because that's basically the only place you'll be able to find it. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the sun shroom. Now, just like the walnut, this plush only comes in one size, but instead of a keychain size, it comes in a big size. And overall, this plush is actually pretty good. The face of this plush is really accurate and a lot more accurate than the Lynxen one, which is for some reason smiling. And it has its mouth open and it has weird eyes. I don't know why Lynxen did that. But Worldmax actually made an accurate version of the sunflower face, and the cap on this one's pretty good too. One bad thing about this plush is that sometimes the cap could overall squish the plush over time and make it harder to stand up because it can make the plush's weight uneven on some sides, so it might fall over a lot. But besides that, I think the sun shrooms are pretty good plush. Once again, I look at eBay or Macari or Zanu for this plush. Now let's go on to the next plush in the set, which is the fume shroom. Now the face on this plush is actually really good, and I guess the angry look of the fume shroom in the game perfect on this plush. The cap on this plush also looks really good because on the Lynxen one they're just circles, but on this one they're actually different shapes and sizes and everything like that, and it just looks really good. And yeah, overall this plush is just a lot more detailed than any other fume shroom version out there. If you want this plush, look on eBay, Macari, or Zanu. Now let's move on to the next plush set, which is the squash. Now the variations of the squash plush are actually a little different from another, so we're going to start with the big size variant. Now the big size variant of the squash is overall pretty good, and I'm glad that Worldmax decided to put more detail onto it than Lynxen did. I really like that Worldmax added little lumps on the squash because it makes it just look more accurate and just makes it look more detailed overall, and it looks better. The angry look on the squash's face is also nicely embroidered on, and its eyes are slightly covered a bit by the thing above its eyes. This is by far the most common variant of the squash plush, and you could easily find it on eBay or Macari. Now the normal size version is a bit different than the big size version. The main difference is that it's smaller, and also instead of having a flap over its eyes, it just has green embroidery above them and you can see the eyes fully now. Overall, I think this design of the normal size squash is a lot better than the big size design. I just like having the plush not have a flap over its eyes more than the big size one does. And I'm glad that Linkson changed it for the smaller sizes of the squash. Overall, this is probably the second rarest variant of the squash plush, but it's kinda hard to tell because the keychain is also really rare. The keychain on this plush is basically the exact same as the normal size, but just smaller. But by far the rarest variant in this whole set is the plush with the suction cup on it. So yeah, once again, just like the pea shooter, some of these squash plushes could come with suction cups, but that's extremely rare, and I've barely seen any photos of plushes that have suction cups on them. For all of these variants, I recommend looking on eBay, Mercari, or Zanyu, but good luck finding the suction cup versions because they're basically impossible to find. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the jalapeno. Now this is probably the best jalapeno plush to ever be made by any company. I just really like it for some reason. It just looks really detailed over all the other jalapeno plushes, but one weird thing about this plush that only came in one size, the big size. I'm glad that Worldmax made this plush have its eyes really wide open because it just makes the plush look better, and also they made them in 3D, and also on the right eye is getting covered a little bit, which is very accurate. The mouth on this plush also just looks more accurate to the game, and it just looks better overall and gives the plush more detail. And overall, the shape of this plush is just a lot better than the Linkson one, as also is not on a lily pad like the Linkson one. The only downside to this though is that the plush can't stand well unless it's against something else, because it could just fall over really easily, so you either have to lay it by its side or have it stand up by something else. But besides the issue of it standing up, this plush is really good. I recommend looking on eBay or Mercari for this plush because you could find them there for pretty cheap. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the Gatling Pea. Now this plush is probably one of my favorites in this whole set. It just looks really good and is really nicely detailed and has all the correct details for a Gatling Pea. So yeah, starting with the barrels in its mouth, instead of having a pea like the pea shooter, it has barrels in its mouth. But one bad thing about this was that it could get separated really easily and go all over the place. It just kind of looks weird sometimes. This plush has little paint lines under his eyes to make it look like more accurate to the game. Also, the eyes have the eyes of the repeater, just like the Gatling Pea in the game. This plush also has a helmet on it, which is really nice, but one bad thing about this helmet is that there's been lots of Gatling Peas that have had the helmet fall off over the years, so I'd be careful with that. It just seems like Worldmax didn't really stitch them on that well because most have fallen off. And the rest of the plush is basically the exact same as the pea shooter with the base and the stem. This plush you could probably find on eBay and Mercari for relatively cheap. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the cattail. Now this is probably the most detailed cattail plush to ever be made by any company, and in my opinion is by far the best cattail ever made. The face on this plush is really nice and it has all the correct details, and the face just looks more accurate to the game than any other cattail plush. The leaves on this plush also just look more accurate, and the base just looks really nice on this plush. The tail on this plush is also really good, and the pointy part of it is really nice and has all the correct colors and details to it. And there's also a big size variant of this plush, but I can only find one photo of the big size variant. It's probably one of the rarest Worldmax plushes to be made. There is also a variant to the cattail plush that has a suction cup just like the squash and the pea shooter. The most common variant is probably the normal size variant, and the second most common is probably the suction cup variant, and the third most common is probably the big size, because the big size only has like one photo to my knowledge. But yeah, all variants of this plush are extremely rare, so good luck finding them, and I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanyu for this plush. Now let's move on to the final plant plush in this set, which is the cob cannon. Now one thing interesting about this plush is that it's not actually a plush, it's a tissue box holder. But yeah, even though it's a tissue box holder, it's kind of like a plush because, well, it is made out of plush material and it is stuffed as a plush, so I'm just going to kind of call it a plush here. This is probably my favorite plush in this whole set because it's just super well detailed and just looks really nice. The actual cob of this plush is really nice. It is really nicely detailed with embroidery to see all like the corn and stuff and to see all like the details on it. The head's also made out of a nice lime green color, and the eyes just look really accurate to the game. And overall, the wheels on this plush also just look really accurate, and overall, this plush just looks amazing. I think Worldmax definitely put the most detail into this plush because it just looks the nicest overall. The one bad thing about this plush though is that if it doesn't have a tissue box in it, the plush just kind of looks deflated looking because, well, the tissue box is meant to like hold it up and just to make it look better, because without a tissue box in it, the plush just kind of looks deflated. And there's nothing in the middle without a tissue box in it, so that's why it just kind of looks weird without it in it. But overall, this plush is just really good, and it's extremely rare though. I recommend it on eBay or Zanu for this plush, but it is extremely rare and barely shows up. Now let's move on to the final plush in this set, which is the zombie. Now this is actually the first variant of the zombie plush Worldmax ever made without plastic eyes, instead of, the normal variant and the most common variant that does have plastic eyes, but this one has felt eyes. And there's two different variants of the first design of the zombie, with the only changes being is that one has a red mouth and the other has a black mouth. And yeah, these plushes only come in one variant, being the big size variant in both of them. And they are the exact same as any other zombie variant, including the big size plastic eye variant. So yeah, there's not much to really say about this plush, but overall they are really nice looking, but they are probably the most rare plush in the whole set, because there are only like 2 photos of each of these plushes and you could barely find them anywhere. And yeah, to my knowledge, no one owns these plushes, so yeah, good luck finding them if you want one of them. But yeah, which plush in this set is your favorite? Mine's probably the Cobb Cannon, but comment down below what your favorite plush in this set is. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Worldmax is a company that is known for making high quality official Plants vs. Zombies plushes, and today we're going to be talking about the second ever set that they made based off the game. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Worldmax Set 2 plush set. The first plush in this set is the Repeater. Now, one cool thing about this plush is that this is the only repeater plush that was actually ever released. No other company ever made a repeater plush, which already makes this plush super unique. And this was probably one of the easiest plushes for Worldmax to make, because it was just using the base of the Gatling P plush. All they did is take the Gatling P plush, got rid of the barrels in its mouth, its helmet, and the paint under its eyes, and they just turned it into this plush. The only thing other that they changed about this plush is that on the back of it, it has a leaf on the bottom and on the top of it. It's the only plush to have this unique leaf on the back of it. But besides that, every other detail on the plush is the same as the Gatling P, except for the missing details from the Gatling P. The one bad thing about this plush though is that it is extremely rare and there's barely any photos of it that exist. There are 0 people that are known to own this plush, so it's basically impossible to find, which is kind of sad because there's no other repeater plush to buy unless if you make a custom one. I would recommend looking on eBay and Mercari and Zanu for this plush, but there's a very low chance that it'll ever show up for sale. Now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is the Twin Sunflower. This plush uses the normal leaf base that most other Worldmax plushes use, except that it has 2 stems connecting to 2 different heads for making it a twin sunflower. One head of this plush is the exact same as the normal Worldmax sunflower, while the other one is different. It has a laughing face instead of having the normal Worldmax sunflower face. But there's also a picture of the prototype of this plush, which just has normal faces that weren't used on the plush when it was released at all. The prototype just has the same exact faces on both stems, which are just like a normal blank sunflower expression. The one bad thing about this plush, once again, just like the repeater, is extremely rare, and this one's even more rare than the repeater. There are practically no images of this plush that exist, and the ones that I could find are very low quality and covered by some other plushes. The only place that you can really look for this plush is probably Zanu, but even then it's probably never going to show up just because there's barely any images of it that even exist. Now let's move on to the next plush set, which starts off the zombies being the basic zombie. Now this zombie plush actually has 4 variants of it, so let's start off with the normal small variant. Now this is probably one of the most accurate basic zombie plushes ever made by any company. The face on this plush is really good, just like the coat, pants, and just the whole plush overall is just really nicely detailed and really good looking. The tie on this plush isn't iron-on though, so I'd recommend being careful with that because it could get easily chipped. And also the eyes are made out of plastic, so the black of the pupil on the eyes could get damaged easily. But besides that stuff being easily damageable, the rest of the plush is great. This is probably my favorite basic zombie plush out of any other basic zombie made by any other company. This plush is kinda rare, but you could usually find it on eBay or Zanyu. Now let's move on to the next variant, being the big size of this plush. There's not much to really say about this plush, except the only thing that they really changed is just everything is bigger, and also the tie isn't an iron-on, it's just a separate piece of felt. And just like the small size, the eyes could get easily chipped and damaged. Now let's move on to a more unique variant of this plush, being the soft eye variant. This variant only came in a big size, and there's a few changes about it. The most obvious one being that it has soft eyes instead of plastic eyes. And instead of having paint on it for the pupil, it has stitching on it, which looks a lot better in my opinion. It's also just better because it could get less damaged. The mouth on this plush is also red and the teeth are rounded on it. This version of the plush was mainly released in Russia, so it's even more rare than the normal variants, and it's very hard to find. Only a few people have this plush, so I would recommend looking on eBay, Mercari, or Zanyu for this plush. Good luck finding it because it's pretty rare. Now let's move on to the weirdest variant of this plush, and the last variant of this plush being the green skin soft eye version. This plush is the exact same as the last version that we looked at, except it just has green skin. This is probably the rarest variant of this plush to ever be made, and there's only been one owner that I know of that has it. And there's very few images of this plush, so it's probably extremely rare. I'd recommend looking for this plush on eBay, Mercari, or Zanyu, but it's very unlikely that it'll show up. Out of all of these variants, my favorite is probably the normal soft eye variant. Comment down below what your favorite variant of this zombie plush is, and let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the Conehead zombie. Now, there really isn't much to say about this plush because it's the exact same as the normal small basic zombie, except it just has a cone on its head. The only weird thing about this plush is that for some reason the cone is mostly leaning towards the right for some reason. I think it would have looked better if it was on the center of the head, but that's the only really bad thing I have to say about this plush. But even though it does look like the normal small basic zombie, it's extremely rare and more rare than the small basic zombie. I recommend looking on eBay or Zanyu for this plush, but it's a lot rarer than the normal basic zombie. Now let's move on to another zombie in this set, which is the Buckethead zombie. Once again, just like the Conehead zombie, there isn't much to say about it because it's just a normal basic zombie with a bucket on its head. The bucket is made out of felt and has stains on it, just like in the game. The stains on a helmet are an iron-on material, so they could get chipped and damaged easily. And once again, just like the Conehead zombie, this plush is extremely rare and a lot more rare than the normal basic zombie. Once again, check eBay and Zanyu for this plush. Now let's move on to the next plush set, which is the pole vaulting zombie. Now, this plush by far has to be the best of the pole vaulting zombies that were ever made by any company. This pole vaulting zombie plush uses the same face as the small basic zombie plush, except that it actually uses a red mouth instead of a black mouth. And it's one of the only small zombies to use a red mouth on the plush, so that's pretty rare and exclusive to this plush. It has a blue bandana with felt pieces that represent the hair on its head. It has red clothing and red shoes with white laces on them, and also has some colorful socks just like in the game. But by far the most unique part about this plush that isn't on any other pole vaulting zombie plush, it actually has the pole on it. For some reason, no other pole vaulting zombie plushes ever came with a pole on it, and this is the only one that did. I'm guessing that his hands are stitched to the pole, and I don't know what material the pole is made out of because this plush is extremely rare and it barely has any images of it and has no documented owners. There has been no instances of this plush being for sale in retail, and the only listing of it ever made was buying bulk of this plush. The listing to buy bulk of this plush is still up, but the seller hasn't been active in many years, so they're probably not still available to be bought. Your best bet of finding this plush is probably either on eBay or Zanyu, but it'll probably never show up just like the Twin Sunflower and the Repeater because it's just super rare. Now let's move on to the final plush in this set, which is a similar rarity to this plush, being the baseball zombie. Just like the pole vaulting zombie, this plush has a red mouth instead of a black mouth, which is only exclusive to this plush and the pole vaulting zombie plush in the small sizes of the zombies. The hat on this plush consists of the colors red, white, and like a bluish gray in the back. Now, the clothes on this baseball zombie plush is actually really nice looking. It's one of the most detailed Worldmax plushes that I think I've seen. They got all the clothes on this plush accurate to the game, and overall it just looks super nice looking. But once again, just like the pole vaulting zombie, this plush is extremely rare and has never been for sale in retail. And just like the pole vaulting zombie, it was sold on the same website for bulk, and once again the seller hasn't been online in many years, so you probably can't get this plush anymore. Once again, I recommend checking eBay and Zanu for this plush, but it's very unlikely that it'll ever show up. So which is your favorite basic zombie variant in this set? Mine's the gray skin soft-eyed zombie, but what was your favorite variant? Comment it down below and make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Worldmax is a company known for making high quality Plants vs Zombies plushes that are officially made. But all their other Plants vs Zombies sets up to this point were based off of the first game, but today we're going to be looking at the first set that I made based off of the second game. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs Zombies Worldmax Set free plush set. The first plush in this set is the Bloomerang. Now this is probably one of the best Bloomerang plushes. It has all the nice details and has a nice unique leaf base on the bottom of it. The body of the Bloomerang comes in a lime green color when the leaves come in the dark green color. The top of the plush is in a light blue color and the Bloomerangs are really well made. They're made out of a soft plush material with yellow rings around them, which are also the same plush material. The face on this plush is also quite accurate. Overall, Worldmax did a really good job making this plush. One thing that I don't like about this plush though is that its size. This plush is actually pretty big, being 12 inches tall, so it's a lot bigger than any other plants. And they never made any smaller sizes like they did with the pea shooter in the first set. I think the plush would have looked better in a smaller size, but that's only one bad thing about this plush, and this plush is pretty good overall. I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanu for this plush because it's pretty rare. Now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is the Bong Choy. Now this Bong Choy plush is probably the best Bong Choy plush ever made by any company. It's just really well detailed. The leaves on the top of the head go over each other and kind of just round each other well, which just overall looks nice. The body is the correct color and is really well shaped. A cool thing about this plush is that the arms are also very bendable because they have wires in them. But I would be careful with the arms because the wires could break over time, especially because these plushes are getting pretty old. The face on this plush is also really nicely detailed and well embroidered on. Overall, this is probably the nicest Bong Choy plush made by any company, officially and unofficially. I would recommend you look on eBay or Zanu for this plush because once again, like the Bloomerang, it's decently rare. Now let's move on to the final plant plush in this set, being the Coconut Cannon. Now, just like the Bong Choy, this has to be one of the most detailed coconut cannon plushes to ever be made by any company. This plush has a really accurate shape to it and is probably the shape best out of any coconut cannon plush, being very accurate to the game. It has a brown fuse on the top of it with a yellow spark, which could get bent really easily because the spark is just made out of felt, so I'd be careful with that because it could get bent and damaged. The eyes are nicely embroidered with brown eyebrows above them, giving a nice expression to the coconut cannon. The mouth of the coconut cannon has gray in it and it goes pretty deep into the mouth too. It also has some lighter brown material around it, making it look more detailed. Each of the wheels on the side are just little separate coconuts that have nice embroidery on them that are stitched onto the plush. And on the coconuts they have some lime green leaves that are stitched onto the plush that look really nice. Overall, this is probably the best coconut cannon plush to be made by any company, and it's really rare though. This plush is also heavily bootlegged by a company called Tiz Toys, so I would watch out for the bootlegs that are on eBay. Your best bet of finding this plush is probably on Zanu, but it's quite rare and it'll take a while to show up probably. Now let's move on to the zombies in this set, starting with the Raw Zombie. The Raw Zombie has a normal zombie face with a pharaoh hat on it. The hat has orange and yellow stripes on top of them, and the face on the top of the pharaoh hat is actually supposed to be a bird, so that's quite interesting. I actually didn't know that till researching on this plush. It has a necklace around its neck that has a nice sun logo on it. And on the legs of this plush, they have bandages that are made out of felt. And one bad thing about this plush is that a lot of the details on this plush are made out of felt, so this plush could get easily damaged. So yeah, I wish Worldmax made it out of a different material other than felt because this plush could get easily damaged, but yeah, that's the only really bad thing about this plush. Now, there are actually multiple variants of this plush, having one with golden teeth and having one with silver-like shoes. The golden teeth version is pretty rare from what I've seen. I've barely seen any images of it, but the silver shoe variant is basically impossible to find. I was only able to find one picture of it. So yeah, if you want this plush in any of the variants, I recommend looking on eBay or Zanu, but the golden teeth and especially the silver shoe variants are extremely rare. Now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is the Pirate Zombie. The pirate zombie almost has a normal zombie face, except that it has some golden teeth and some white teeth instead of just all white teeth, and also has a felt earring on it. It also has a red hat on it with purple ironed on stripes. Around his neck he has a scarf which is white and red. And then he has just the normal clothes that the pirate zombie has in the game. Also around his wrist he has these nice shiny felt things that look like gold. And also the yellow squares on his boots are also iron on so they could get chipped easily. Overall, this plush is pretty good and it doesn't have any variants like the raw zombie. This plush has a lot of good details in it. I really like how much detail that Worldmax put into these plushes. I recommend looking on eBay or for this plush because once again it's decently rare. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the swashbuckler zombie. This plush's head is the exact same as the pirate zombie head. Once again, it has half gold teeth and half white teeth and also has a felt earring on it. He has a great pirate hat on his head that has some iron on red stains on it. His beard is made out of some soft gray material. I can't really tell you what it is because I don't have the plush, but it looks like some soft material. Once again, like the pirate zombie, he has golden bands around his arms, and the rest of the plush just has the normal clothes that the swashbuckler zombie has in the game, like the gray and white t-shirt, which looks really nice. The pants also look really nice on this plush and are very nicely detailed with small embroidery on it, which probably took a while for Worldmax to make. It's clear that Worldmax put a lot of work into these zombies in the set with the small embroidery and just little details that you could barely notice on the plushes. I would recommend look on eBay or for this plush, just like the pirate zombie is quite rare. Now let's move on to the final plush in this whole set, being the cowboy zombie. The cowboy zombie has the same face as the normal basic zombie with a maroon hat with a dark blue stripe around it. Around his neck he has a red bandana with white polka dots on it. The bandana could get easily damaged though because it's made out of a very delicate material. He has the belt that's made out of felt where it has a nice little star logo on it. And the clothes are quite accurate to the game, all being made out of a nice material with little details on them. Also on the back of his shoes he has these little felt like things that are in the game, but those could get easily damaged though because they are just little felt pieces that could get quite easily damaged with felt. So I'd recommend keeping good care of those because they could get easily damaged. Overall, this is probably the least detailed zombie. Even though it still has a lot of nice details, it still just shows how detailed these zombies are, even though this is the least detailed one. I recommend look on eBay or for this plush because it's decently rare. Now, we actually have a bonus plush to talk about that was a cancelled plush in this set. This plush was the walnut plush, but it was never officially released. The eyes are made out of plastic, so they could get damaged really easily, and it's just like a brown circle because that's really all the walnut is. I'm guessing the reason why this walnut plush was cancelled is that all the other plushes in this set were exclusively from the Plants vs. Zombies 2 game, but this one was also from Plants vs. Zombies 1. So Worldmax might have wanted to just keep exclusively Plants vs. Zombies 2 plushes in this set, so they probably cancelled the walnut because that was a Plants vs. Zombies 1 plush as well. But that's just my theory. Comment down below why you think this plush was cancelled, and make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. There are lots of Plants vs. Zombies plush sets that have tons of characters in them, but this plush only has 3 characters in them, so yeah, today we're going to be looking at them. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Worldmax Pillow Set. Let's start off with the first plush in the set, which is the Sunflower Pillow. Now, this plush is probably the least unique in the whole set because, well, all the Sunflower Pillow is just the head of the normal Worldmax Sunflower, but just bigger. The only real difference about the face on the sunflower is that the materials on the petals are actually just normal plush material instead of felt, but that's really the only changes about them. This pillow is also really big, being over a foot tall and being over a foot wide, so yeah, it's pretty big. This plush itself isn't that interesting, but it actually has bootlegs, which are a lot more interesting than this plush. Now, the bootlegs are actually extremely rare, and I can only find one image of them, so if you do see the bootlegs for sale, I would recommend actually getting them if they're cheap, because they're even more rare than the normal sunflower pillow itself. And unlike the normal sunflower pillow that only has one variant, this one actually comes in 3 variants, being the normal variant, the orange face variant, and the dark face variant. The normal face variant isn't anything special, it's literally just the sunflower pillow, but with extra petals on it. Now, the orange face one is actually a bit different besides just the orange face. The petals are also a slightly yellower color, which looks nicer in my opinion. But the variant that's the most different is the dark face version with a really dark face and lighter petals. So yeah, which variant of these is your favorite? Mine's probably the orange face one just because it looks really unique, but comment down below your favorite sunflower bootleg variant. But yeah, if you want any of the variations of this plush bootleg or official release, I recommend looking on eBay or Zanu. And yeah, this plush could sell around like $50 to $100, mattering if it's in good or bad condition, and also mattering on the seller. Now let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is the magnet shroom pillow. Now, one thing interesting about this pillow is that it's actually supposed to be a neck pillow that you could put around your neck, which is actually a pretty unique thing for a Plants vs. Zombies plush to be. And just like the sunflower pillow, this magnet shroom pillow is actually really big. And this is actually the only magnet shroom that Worldmax ever made, so yeah, there's no normal size magnet shroom plush. And this magnet shroom plush is actually pretty accurate looking. The face on the magnet has nice embroidery and is really nicely detailed and quite accurate, and also the colors are all accurate and the embroidery on the leaf is accurate as well. Now this plush is actually quite rare compared to the sunflower pillow, as it shows up a lot less than the sunflower pillow. If you want this plush, look on eBay or Zanu, and it could sell for a lot of money or it could be really cheap. I've seen it sell for both. Now let's go on to the final and the best plush in the set, being the jalapeno pillow. Now, the jalapeno pillow is actually the biggest in the whole set. I found this picture next to a normal size Worldmax cattail, so that's like a scale for size comparison. And this is one of 2 jalapeno plushes that Worldmax ever made. They only ever made another big size version, but the big size version of the jalapeno is actually a lot smaller than the pillow size. The face is nicely embroidered on it, has really good small details on it, and also it just looks really accurate to the game as well. One bad thing about this plush though is that the stem on the top could lose stuffing in it. It could be really floppy sometimes, as you can see in some photos, so I'd be careful with that if you get this plush. But yeah, it's really hard to get this plush though. It's by far the rarest plush in the whole set and barely has any documented owners of it. I've only ever seen 2 listings of it as well, so it's just really rare. Just like the others, look on eBay or Zanu, but you have a really low chance of finding this one as it's extremely rare and barely shows up. So yeah, which plush in this set is your favorite? Mine's probably the jalapeno pillow, but yeah, comment down below what yours is, and yeah, have a great day. Worldmax is probably the most well-known officially licensed company that makes Plants vs. Zombies plushes, but today we're going to be looking at a set that they made which is pretty obscure and unknown by most people. And with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Worldmax Birthdayz Pillow Set. Let's start with the first plush in this set, which is the Sunflower Singer Pillow. Now, some people might not know of this character even existing due to it being exclusive to the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition, so yeah, some people might not know what this character is, but it was released for the 3rd anniversary of the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition game. This pillow was pretty simple to make from Worldmax because all you had to do was get a white pillow and print on artwork of the Sunflower Singer onto a pillow. And overall, I really like the artwork on this pillow. It's pretty good looking on a pillow. On the back of the pillow, there is Chinese text, which is just the logo for the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition for the 3rd anniversary of it. And then at the bottom of it, it says PopCap and EA, which is the logo for the company. There's not really much to say about the pillows in these sets because it's mostly just the artwork on the pillow because it's just a white pillow with artwork on it. But overall, I would say it looks pretty good, and here's the original artwork that this pillow is based off of. This plush is probably the most common in this set, but it's still extremely rare and you'll have a really hard time finding it. I'll recommend looking on eBay or Zanu for this plush, but good luck finding it because it's really rare. Now let's move on to the next pillow in this set, which I actually own, being the Gatling Pea pillow. Now, some people might not recognize this Gatling Pea design because once again, it's based off the Chinese Gatling Pea. In the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition, they actually got a Gatling Pea, which isn't in the international release of the Plants vs. Zombies 2 game. Overall, this plush looks really good and has a really nice design to it, and the artwork's just really nice looking. I really like how on the glasses, it has like a nice shiny reflection on it, and I think they did a really good job making that detail look very nice. It says the exact same thing on the back of the pillow as it does on the Sunflower Singer pillow. And overall, this has some really nice artwork and looks one of the best in the set. Once again, it's extremely rare and probably the 2nd most rare in the whole set behind the Sunflower Singer pillow. I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanu for this plush, but it's really rare and I've only ever seen one listing of it, which I bought, and so that's how I have the plush. Now let's move on to the final pillow in this set, which is once again a Chinese exclusive plant, which is this design of the cattail. Once again, in the exclusive version of the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition, they actually got a cattail, which isn't in the international release. For some reason, the Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition gets a lot more extra stuff than the international release. Overall, once again, the artwork is really nice on these pillows, and once again, it says the exact same thing on the back of the pillow. There really isn't much to say about any of these pillows. It's just that all the artwork is just printed on, so there's not much to say about it. It's just that the artwork looks good. This plush is probably the rarest in the whole set, and I barely seen any images of it, so it seems to be pretty rare. Just like the others, look on eBay or Zanu for this pillow, but you have a very small chance of finding it due to its rarity. So yeah, which pillow in this set is your favorite? Mine's probably the Gatling P, but comment down below what yours was. And make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Plants vs. Zombies was released on May 5th, 2009. Usually for the anniversary of Plants vs. Zombies, they changed the zombies just for birthday related things. But in 2015, they did something different. For the second anniversary of Plants vs. Zombies 2, they released a plush set. Today we will be looking at how the plushes were given away, reviewing the plushes themselves, and looking at the unconfirmed plushes in the set. So with all that said, welcome to a look at the Birthdayz Plants vs. Zombies plush set. Before we get to the individual plushes themselves, let's look at how they were released. For the second anniversary of Plants vs. Zombies 2 Chinese edition, if you wrote a thank you letter which listed all your items collected throughout the game, you would be given in-game items like gems and coins. But there was also a small chance you would be entered into a giveaway, which is how you would win the plushes. You could only enter between October 29th to November 3rd, so quite a small time to enter the giveaway. In each drawing, you could either win a big plush, a keychain plush, a 5 yuan gift card, which is 70 cents USD, a 10 yuan gift card, which is $1.40 USD, and the biggest prize, a 50 yuan gift card, which is $7.01 USD. So, with all that said, let's get to the first plush in this set. The first plush in this set is the pea shooter keychain. This pea shooter is the exact same as the normal keychain, except that it has a birthday cake on it that says second anniversary on it. The one bad thing about these plushes is that the candles on the plushes are badly glued on sometimes and they might fall off. But other than that, these plushes are pretty good. It's also worth mentioning that the tags on these plushes are different, but you can't really notice a difference because it's all in Chinese and I can't really read Chinese, so I can't really see the differences. For the rarity of this plush, it's the rarest confirmed keychain in the set. There was recently one on eBay, but it's sold, so if you want it, I would recommend looking on eBay or Mercari. A good price for this plush would be $30 to $60. Now on to the next plush. The next plush in this set is the sunflower keychain. Just like the pea shooter, it's the exact same as the normal sunflower keychain in the normal set. This plush is the most common throughout the entire set, and it has been seen a good amount of times in eBay and Mercari. The price is about the same as the pea shooter, with the sunflower selling between $30 to $50. There are currently 2 for sale on eBay, and there was one on Mercari a little while ago that just sold for around $40. So yeah, let's move on to the last confirmed keychain in this set, which is the squash keychain. Just as the others, it's the same exact thing as the normal squash keychain, but with a birthday cake on its head. There are recently 10 listed on eBay by the exact same seller, so if you want this plush, you could buy it there. Before these 10 were listed, there were very few that showed up, so I would say it would have been the rarest until these 10 showed up, but it's still slightly more rare than the sunflower because I'm guessing all this was just old stock. Once again, I recommend this plush would be sold for around $30 to $50. So yeah, let's move on to the last confirmed plush in the whole set. The last confirmed plush in this set is the Birthdayz Jester Zombie. This plush is the rarest in this set and is the coolest in the set by far. This plush is very unique with its design, with it holding a birthday cake that says second anniversary and it wearing a birthday hat with their colorful clothes on too. This is one of the coolest zombies Worldmax ever made, and one of the coolest zombies ever made by any company at all. Sadly though, this plush is extremely rare and only 3 people own it, so good luck getting it if you want it. There was one on Mercari that sold for $600 last year, so yeah, it's extremely rare and expensive. So yeah, if you want this plush, look on eBay and Mercari, but it's very rare and you're gonna have to pay a lot for it. So with all that said, let's move on to the unconfirmed plushes in this set. The next three plushes are big sizes of the Sunflower, Pea Shooter, and Squash. The only images we have of these three are promotional images, and there is only one image of each of them. There's no images of it being owned by a person in hand, and there's only 6 ever given away, so if you want one, you basically have no chance of finding it. If you want this plush though, eBay or Mercari, but it'll probably never show up due to not even having a picture of it in a person's hand before. The last plush in this set that might exist is the zombie keychain. There's not even a picture of this plush. The only documentation we have is a message of someone that won it. There are only 7 ever given away, and there's no promotional image or in-hand image of it. So I doubt that you'll ever get this plush because we don't even know what it looks like. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, have a great day. Worldmax has made tons of well-known Plants vs. Zombies plushes, but today we're going to be looking at a plush set that's extremely unknown that was made by Worldmax. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Worldmax Jurassic Marsh Pillow Set. Let's start with the first plush in this set being the Primal Pea Shooter. Now, just like some other plush sets that we've already looked at, these are just the same thing as the others. They just are white pillows with printed on logos on them. So I'm basically just going to be rating the artwork on the plushes instead of the plushes themselves because there's not much to them. It's just a white pillow with a printed on image on it. It's also unknown what's on all the back of these plushes, so yeah, we have no idea what's on the back of the pillows. They could be the same as the Birthdayz Plush Set, but we don't know at the moment. I'm pretty sure this Primal Pea Shooter has used this art to put on the pillow, but it might not be because the pillow's a little bit different from the one picture we have of it. On the pillow, the stem's a bit bent to the right, while on this artwork it's not. It could just be the angle that the image was taken at, but it could just be a completely different piece of artwork. I don't know. It looks pretty similar to this one though. Overall, the artwork just looks pretty good. It looks pretty nice, pretty accurate to the Primal Pea Shooter. And yeah, there's only one image of this pillow that exists, and there's only one image of all these pillows that exist at all, so they're extremely rare. If you want this pillow, look on eBay or Zanu, but there's only one image of them and 0 documented owners, so it's basically impossible to find them. Now let's move on to the next pillow, and this being the Primal Sunflower. Now this is 100% the artwork that's based off of, because everything about this artwork is just the same on the pillow, so this is the artwork that was used. Overall, there really isn't much to say because this is just the normal in-game Primal Sunflower that was just printed onto a pillow. So once again, just like the Primal Pea Shooter, there isn't much to say about it except that it looks nice and they did a good job printing it onto the pillow. Also, on all of these pillows, they added a little bit of an extra black outline around the characters themselves just so they could stand out a little more on the pillow. But besides that, the artwork is the exact same that is on the pillow besides that extra little detail that Worldmax added. Once again, just like the others, look on eBay or Zanu, but it's basically impossible to find. Now let's go into the final plush in this set. Yeah, there's only 3 pillows in this whole set. It's a very small set and a very obscure set, being the Cold Snapdragon as the final pillow. Now, this is probably the most unique in the whole set because it isn't just the normal artwork, it actually is wearing a hat. Now, a cool thing about Plants vs. Zombies 2 is that you could actually lock unlockable hats for every single plant in the game that I know of. So as you can see here, here's one of the hats on the Cold Snapdragon, that's an ice cube, and the one that was used and put on this pillow was the ice cream hat. I'm really glad that Worldmax actually changed it up a little bit instead of just using the normal artwork because it looks a lot nicer and it's just a lot more unique. And I think it looks a lot nicer than just having a normal Cold Snapdragon on the pillow because it just makes it more unique and more unique to the whole set overall. I wish that also that they did this with the other Primal Pea Shooter and Primal Sunflowers. It would have just made the whole set just a little more unique. Now, the only really complaint I have about this pillow is that for some reason it's facing to the left while the rest of the pillows are facing to the right. I don't know why Worldmax did this because all the rest are looking to the right, so it would make sense for this one to also look to the right so they could all just match, but for some reason they made it look to the left. That's just some weird detail that they changed for some reason. Just like the others, look on eBay or Zanu, but these only have one image of them each and have 0 documented owners, so they're practically impossible to find. My favorite pillow in this set is probably the Cold Snapdragon, but comment down below what yours is, and yeah, have a great day. Worldmax has made tons of Plants vs. Zombies plush sets over the years, but today we're going to be talking about one of the rarest and most obscure plush sets that they ever made. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Worldmax Neon Mixtape Tour Pillow Set. The first pillow in this set is the pea shooter. Now, this isn't just a normal pea shooter pillow, it's actually a wrapping pea shooter pillow. So yeah, this pillow is just a white pillow with a printed on image on it. The image that this pea shooter comes from is just a promotional piece of art that's on the Plants vs. Zombies flagship store. All Worldmax did is print this piece of art onto this pillow, and that's what they did for every single plush in this set. This pea shooter is wearing a purple hat with a gray brim on it. He also has white glasses with purple tinted glass on them. He also has a gold chain with a P on it, which is pretty cool in my opinion. This is probably one of the most unique plushes ever made. Overall, this pillow is actually pretty good and it has a really nice piece of artwork on it. But since these plushes are so rare, it's actually unknown what's on the back of these pillows, so there could be text on the back of it like the Birthdayz Pillow Set, but we don't actually know. All of these plushes in this set are the same rarity basically because they basically never have shown up ever, so yeah, they're both all extremely rare. I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanu for any of these plushes, but they've never showed up anywhere, so good luck finding them. Now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is the walnut. And this walnut pillow is actually pretty unique because it's actually holding a guitar instead of just being a normal walnut. Once again, just like the pea shooter, Worldmax just printed the artwork onto a white pillow, so yeah, it's nothing too special. This walnut pillow has a red mohawk on it with a red star around its eye. The walnut is holding a guitar too, and overall, once again, just like the pea shooter, I really like the artwork on this pillow. Just like the pea shooter, I recommend looking on eBay and Zanu for this plush, but it's never showed up at all, so good luck finding it. Now let's move on to the first zombie pillow in this set, being the boombox zombie. All this pillow is just the head of the boombox zombie printed onto a pillow. The boombox zombie uses the normal zombie head shape and has a mustache and a lot of hair on it. He also is wearing a bandana around his hair, and the bandana has the same colors as the Netherlands flag. I wonder if that was just a coincidence. It probably was though, because it has nothing to do with the Netherlands, so it's probably just a coincidence that the bandana looks like it. This is also the only boombox zombie pillow or plush ever made of it, and it's just the head of it, so yeah, there's no actual boombox zombie plush yet. Once again, like the others, I'll recommend looking on eBay and Zanu for these plushes, but they're extremely rare. Now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is kind of just like a miscellaneous plush, being the neon cone plush. Now this is probably the weirdest plush in this whole set because it's just a cone. It doesn't even have like a zombie head under it, it's just like a cone that a zombie would wear. It's pretty interesting that Worldmax chose to just make a cone pillow, and is one of the only cone plushes to actually exist besides the Heli World one. All this pillow is just a normal cone that a zombie would wear with some nice blue glasses around the cone. And that's all there really is to this pillow. There's not much else to say about it. It's probably the least unique pillow in this whole set, and probably just like the worst in the whole set in my opinion. Now let's move on to the final pillow in this set, being the boombox pillow. Now I'm guessing that Worldmax made this boombox pillow to kind of match the boombox zombie. All this pillow is just in the game the boombox that the boombox zombie is holding, so yeah, that's all this pillow is. This pillow probably does have the most detail in the whole set though, having a bunch of small details on it. I like how Worldmax also added little details onto it, like the pea shooter and walnut stickers on the boombox. Overall, this is just the normal boombox as in the Plants vs. Zombies 2 game, but just with extra details with like the pea shooter, walnut, and zombie stickers on them. Overall, this pillow is just really unique because it's one of the only Plants vs. Zombies plush or pillows that aren't plants or just zombies. These are just kind of like miscellaneous items. But yeah, overall, I think this plush is really good and I really like it. So yeah, which plush in this set was your favorite? Mine was probably the boombox just because it has like the most detail on it. It just looks nice overall. But yeah, what was yours? Comment that down below, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Worldmax is one of the most known companies that made Plants vs. Zombies plushes. They're known for making high quality plush sets of many different series, including Plants vs. Zombies. Many people know of their mainline sets for Plants vs. Zombies that they made, but they actually made a lot more obscure and unknown sets like the one we'll be looking at today. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Plants vs. Zombies Emote Pea Shooter Plush Set. Before we look at the individual plushes, I want to say that they also made sunflower and squash emote plushes, but today I'll be only looking at the emote pea shooters, and the others will have their own separate videos coming out in the next few days. So let's go to the individual plushes in this set, starting with the sleepy pea shooter. This plush is just like the normal pea shooter, but it has its eyes closed. Now, all these plushes in the set are based off the big size Worldmax pea shooter, so that's why they all basically look the same except for different facial expressions. This one has his eyes stitched to look like they are closed. That's about the only thing that they changed with these plushes. Even the tags are the same with them. Even though these plushes are extremely simple with just changing facial features, they are all extremely rare and barely ever show up. These were only available in the Plants vs. Zombies flagship store for a very, very limited amount of time, so barely any people were able to buy them. I've never even seen the Sleepy Pea Shooter plush for sale, and I doubt that I ever will because of how rare it is. Now let's move on to the next plush, which I actually have very little to say about because of how similar it is to this one. The next plush is the Happy Pea Shooter. The Happy Pea Shooter is just the Sleepy Pea Shooter with his eyes in the other way. Yeah, that's literally the only thing they changed about this plush. It's basically the same thing as the Sleepy Pea Shooter, but with the eyes. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this plush because there's no changes about it, just the eyes, and the tags are the same, the rarity is the same, and just everything else is the same about this plush. So yeah, let's move on to a more unique plush, the Dead Pea Shooter. This plush has X's as his eyes to show that it is dead. They also added a scratch on his head, which is a nice detail because they could have just made the eyes X's, but they decided to add this extra detail, which is really nice. I'm glad that they added this extra detail because it makes the plush just look nicer overall. This plush is actually for sale on eBay right now for $200, so yeah, even though it is for sale right now, the seller is selling it for way overpriced, so I would not recommend buying it, but hey, if you want it, I guess you could buy it for $200. Once again, this plush is the exact same with the tags and everything. The only thing that they changed was the facial expression. So yeah, let's move on to the most detailed plush in the whole set, the Sweating Pea Shooter. Now, I think this is the rarest plush in this set because I was only able to find one picture of it. I know that there are others out there, but I just couldn't seem to find them for some reason. This plush is the most unique in the set, with it having its eyes facing left instead of straight like the normal pea shooters, and also having a very nice looking sweat mark on his face. They obviously put the most work into his facial expression because it's just the most detailed overall. The Sweating Pea Shooter is a very nice plush, but I do like the Dead Pea Shooter just a little more. Comment which of these 4 plushes do you like the most, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Worldmax is a well-known company that makes high-quality plushes. One of the series they made plushes for was Plants vs. Zombies. They're mostly known for their main sets of Plants vs. Zombies plushes, but not many people know they made many other obscure plush sets like the one we will be looking at today. So, with that said, welcome to the look at the Emote Sunflower Plush Set. Now, before we get to the individual plushes in the set, there are also Pea Shooter and Squash Emote versions of these plushes. I've already made a video on the Pea Shooter, so go watch that after this video, and the Squash video will be released shortly after this one. So, with everything out of the way, let's get to the first plush in the set, which is the Laughing Sunflower. All of these plushes are based off the sunflower pillow, which is why they all look the same except for different facial expressions. This plush has a wide open mouth, which is only used on 2 other plushes in any other Plants vs. Zombies plush set, with it being the Winking Sunflower and the Blushing Sunflower, so this mouth is pretty exclusive to this plush. The eyes are also exclusive to this plush, with the eyes being closed, probably to make the plush look happier because it is a laughing sunflower pillow, so yeah, it is supposed to look happy. This plush is extremely rare and only one person has it, but if you want this plush, I recommend looking on eBay or Zanu because those are probably the only places they would ever show up. So let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is the Giggling Sunflower. This plush has a unique mouth with it looking like it's about to stick its tongue out at you. The eyes are also exclusive to this plush, with it making look like the sunflower is about to start laughing. Just like the Laughing Sunflower, this plush is extremely rare, and I haven't even seen a singular listing of it, so it's very unlikely that you'll find it. But once again, I'll probably look on like eBay or Zanu if you want one. So yeah, let's move on to the next plush, which is by far the rarest plush in this whole set. The next plush in this set is the Sleepy Sunflower. I was only able to find one image for this video, and I didn't even know this plush even existed until I did deep research for this video. This plush isn't that creative, with his eyes just being stolen from the Sleepy Pea Shooter from the Pea Shooter Emote Plush Set. They also changed the mouth to make it having a blank smiling expression. This plush is probably the laziest throughout the whole set because they really didn't change anything about it except just for the eyes being closed. If you want this plush though, I doubt that you'll ever get it because I didn't even know about it till I did research for this video. So let's move on to a more unique plush in this set, the Winking Sunflower plush. This plush uses the same mouth as the Laughing Sunflower, and it has one normal eye, but it also has one winking eye, which is exclusive to this plush. There are no other plushes ever made for this from the Plants vs. Zombies series. Now, you can actually buy this plush on eBay right now for $200. Personally, I wouldn't buy it because it's a bit overpriced, but hey, it's your money, you're allowed to do whatever you want with it, so yeah, it's on eBay right now for $200, so if you want it, you could buy it there. So let's move on to the next plush in the set, which is by far the most detailed in the whole set, the Heart Eyes Sunflower. This plush has the most uniqueness to it, with its eyes being actual hearts instead of just normal eyes. This is a completely different and unique design to any other plush in the Plants vs. Zombies series. The other details in this plush is that the mouth is straight and it has little blushes under the eyes. This is a really nice plush and it's clear that Worldmax put a lot of detail and effort into it. Now this plush is extremely rare, but I have seen it once for sale on Zanu a little while back, so it is gettable. So let's move on to the final plush in this set, which is the Blushing Sunflower. Now this plush uses the same mouth as the Laughing and Winking Sunflower plushes. This plush also, just like the Heart Eyes Sunflower, also has little blushes under his eyes. Just like the Sleepy Sunflower, I don't really see a lot of detail being put into here, but hey, it's still a pretty good plush. Just like all the other plushes in this set, this plush is extremely rare and only one person owns it. So yeah, comment which one of these plushes are your favorite, and yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Worldmax is known for making official high-quality plushes. One of the series they made plushes for was Plants vs. Zombies. While a lot of people know them for their main sets of Plants vs. Zombies plushes, they actually made a lot more obscure plush sets like the one we'll be looking at today. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Costume Squash Plush Set. Now before we get to the individual plushes themselves, there are also pea shooter and sunflower variants of these. They are also part of this set. I've already made videos on both of them, so go watch it after this. So yeah, let's get to the individual plushes now, starting with the earmuff squash. Now all these plushes in the set are based off the big size squash, which is why they are all the exact same except for just extra features added to them. This plush added earmuffs to the big size squash plush. The reason I'm going over this one first is because it's the most basic in the set, because they only added earmuffs, which, you know, is not that much of a difference. The earmuffs are made out of the same material as the plush, and it's mostly brown with some light brown on the side of the earmuffs. If you want to buy this plush, I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanu, because those are the most likely places that this plush will actually show up for. One of these plushes actually recently sold on eBay for around $200. So yeah, this is probably the most common plush in the set, but still, even though it's the most common in the set, it is still extremely rare. Now let's move on to a more unique plush in the set, the Sunglasses Squash. This plush is just the big size squash wearing sunglasses. The sunglasses are made out of felt and the colors are light blue and dark blue, which actually go really well together. This plush also has an earring on the side of it, which is a really cool detail that they decided to add. This plush is really cool in my opinion, and I'm glad that they added the extra detail of the earring. It just makes the plushes look nicer overall. It makes it look like there's more detail and thought put into it. Now for this plush, look on eBay and Zanu if you want it. This plush also sold on eBay earlier this year for $250, so yeah, even more expensive than the earmuff squash. I would say that this is the rarest plush in the set because it's only showed up once ever on eBay. So yeah, since I've only seen it once, I'm going to assume that it's the rarest in this set, so good luck getting it if you want one. Now let's move on to the final plush in this set, which is the Detective Squash. This plush is the big size squash but with a mustache and a hat on it. This is my favorite plush in this set. I really like that they decided to add a mustache and an extra detail to it. The hat is also really nice and is the same material of the sunglasses in the other plush. The reason I like this plush so much is because it just looks so unique compared to any other plush from any other set. It also looks like it had the most uniqueness and thought put into it. Just like the others, one also earlier this year put up on eBay for around $200. So yeah, the same price as the earmuff squash. And I would say this is around like the same rarity as the earmuff squash, but still a little rare. So yeah, the Detective Squash is my favorite plush, but comment down below which plush in this set is your favorite. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and have a great day. Usually when a company releases a plush, usually it comes in a set, and well, that's mostly true for the Plants vs. Zombies franchise as well. The reason that I say mostly true is that, well, Worldmax actually made some miscellaneous plushes that don't actually fit into any sets, and today we're going to be talking about them. So with that said, welcome to a look at the one-off Worldmax Plants vs. Zombies plushes. The first plush that was never actually released into a set was the Sunflower Coin Purse. Now, one thing that you'll notice about all these one-off plushes that don't actually fit into any sets, they're all extremely rare. And this Sunflower Coin Purse probably is one of the rarest ones because from what I know, there's only been ever 2 sightings of this plush that prove it exists. The more popular sighting is the one at the Hong Kong 2012 Toy Fair, which this plush is seen in, and also there was a listing of it on Russian Alibaba a while back. But besides those 2 instances, this plush is basically undocumented. Now let's talk about the details on the plush itself. The embroidery on the face is pretty nice, and it actually doesn't use the traditional Worldmax sunflower face, which is, I'm pretty sure, the only sunflower plush made by Worldmax that doesn't use its traditional face. The petals on the sunflower are made out of a felt material, and the face is made out of just a normal plush material. And also, this plush comes with a keychain hook on the top of it so you can hang it up on something. And well, this is a coin purse, so it does have a zipper on the back of it which you could put coins in. And that's really all there is to say about this plush. It's a really extremely rare plush that was released by Worldmax, and it's very obscure. There are currently 0 documented owners of this plush, and the last time this plush was seen was on Alibaba, which was a long time ago. So you basically have no chance of finding this plush because it's super rare, but if you do want to look for this plush, I recommend looking on eBay or Zanyu, but you basically have no chance of finding it. Now let's move on to another one-off sunflower plush, being the Sunflower Phone Holder. Now, usually when people think of Plants vs. Zombies phone holders, they think of the Linkson set, but this is actually a Worldmax phone holder, which is actually pretty unique for an official licensed company to make one of these. And overall, this plush is actually kind of strange looking. All this plushes is the normal Worldmax normal size sunflower, and they just have an orange thing on the back of it to hold the phone. And in my opinion, I think they could have designed the sunflower phone holder a lot better than this instead of just adding an orange thing on the back of it. They could have actually implemented it somewhere else on the plush. But this plush is actually a bit more common than the last plush we looked at, and actually a few people own it, so you do have a chance of finding this one, but I would recommend looking on eBay or Zanyu for this plush, but it's still extremely rare and only has 3 documented owners of it. Now let's look at the next one-off plush, which actually has 2 sizes of it, being the tall nut. Now, one thing strange about this plush is that it's actually really not that big for a tall nut. It only comes in 2 sizes, being the keychain size and the normal size, and even the normal size is quite small. And just like the Sunflower Coin Purse, this plush has barely any documentation of it. And from what I know, there has been no outside listings of this plush, and all the pictures come from Worldmax themselves or the Hong Kong Toy Fair. So this plush might be even more rare than the Sunflower Coin Purse because there was at least 1 outside listing of the Sunflower Coin Purse, but there's been no listings of this plush. Now for the design itself, the tall nut is really small, which is the one bad part about this plush, but the rest of the plush is fine, I guess. It has a nice shape and has nice embroidery for the eyes and the mouth. And the big size doesn't really change anything, it's just a bigger version of the tall nut, except that it just doesn't have a keychain hook on it. It just has nothing on top of its head like a normal plush would. If you want this plush, you have a very low chance of finding it because, as I said, there's been literally no outside documentation sales of this plush, but I recommend looking on eBay or Zanyu because also you have the highest chance of finding it there. Now let's move on to the first one-off zombie plush, being the Drawsting Zombie Bag. Now this plush is basically the same as the big size Worldmax Green Zombie, except it just has a bag on the back of it. The only other really changes from the big size Worldmax Green Zombie is that the eyes and mouth are a little bit different with the colors, but that's about all they changed about this plush. And overall, I would say that this is actually a pretty unique concept for a plush to be a drawstring bag as well. And just as the others that we looked at, there's only 1 documented owner of this plush, and there's basically no outside listings besides the one that the person bought, so it's extremely rare and hard to find. And the really only good documentation that we have of this plush are from Worldmax themselves and from the Hong Kong 2012 Toy Fair. But if you do want this plush, look on eBay or Zanyu, but it is extremely rare and obscure. Now let's move on to the final and the most interesting one-off plush made by Worldmax, being the Rain God Zombie. Now, why is this plush more interesting than the others? Well, it's actually just a prize plush so that you could win it. I'll be telling you how you could win it as well. So basically, for the promotion of the game Plants vs. Zombies All-Stars, you could enter a competition. As you can see on the screen here, this is where you would enter the competition. Also at the competition, there was this huge Rain God Zombie statue, which looks pretty weird to be honest with you. And at the event, you would see this sign here, which would tell you the directions on how to win the plush. I can't read it though, because it's all in Chinese, but that's how the directions were. And well, if you did some stuff, then you would be randomly drawn and you could potentially win this plush. I'm pretty sure there was also a few other prizes like gift cards, but the main prize was the plush itself, and it's extremely rare to find this plush. And just like all the other Worldmax zombies, this plush is actually really high quality, has a lot of nice details on it. On the face of this plush, it has plastic eyes which could be chipped and damaged, so I'd be careful with that if you manage to get this plush. The teeth are also made out of felt, so they could get bent and damaged, and the embroidery on the face is actually really nice and really well detailed on this plush. And the hair on this plush is just made out of a normal plush material. It's one of the only zombies made by Worldmax to actually have hair on it, which is another unique feature about this plush. This plush is wearing a nice black suit, and it has a nice tie on it as well, which is a really nice detail, and has some really nice details on the clothes, which are really small, but you can still notice them, which is a really cool detail from Worldmax to add these little details that you can barely see. The zombie is also holding an orange microphone, so yeah, that's also pretty cool, and a really nice detail to this plush. And the shoes are made out of this silver vinyl material, which the vinyl material could get damaged quite easily, so I would be careful with that as well. Overall, this is by far the most unique and interesting one-off plush that Worldmax ever made, and it's probably my favorite out of all these one-off plushes. If you want to get this plush now, you have to look on websites like eBay or Zanu, because the only place to find these plushes are if the people that won them would resell them. And from what I can tell, there's only ever been 3 listings of these plushes being sold, so it's quite obscure and rare. So yeah, which plushes of these one-off plushes is your favorite? Mine's definitely the Rain God Zombie, but comment down below what your favorite is, and yeah, have a great day.